All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here for our Patriot call tonight. We have just briefly gotten started. It's been a very strange night with Zoom. I apologize. We're going to bring everybody back in right now. We are streaming live on Facebook and all of our social media platforms because we're hearing the full story right now from Barb Hewlett out of Delta County, Colorado, on her most recent efforts in Mesa County to bring forward the ballots from the 2021 City Council election. Guys, we are alive. We are live. We are streaming on Facebook. I don't know what happened. Looks like everything's back to normal. So Barb, we're going to pick up right where you left off. We've talked a little bit about what's happening here. I've just kind of briefed the audience. You had the opportunity finally to get to the actual physical ballots from the Grand Junction City Council election in Colorado. This was the election that just incited everything. It had such an unbelievable outcome. It started the canvassing efforts of Colorado, as well as Tina Peters' efforts to figure out what had happened and what was going on in the black box machine. So you ended at a really great point. We are live streaming right now. We are live everywhere and recording just so everyone knows. And Barb, if you can go ahead and pick up right where you left off.
People want to pick them out. And there's things that people potentially most buyers.
Everyone else, okay. As soon as we see Barb back on here. So for those who are listening right now, Barb Hewlett actually coordinated the last examination of paper ballots in the state of Colorado. It is against the law now to audit any election in any capacity in the state of Colorado without the Secretary of State's permission, and we all know she's never going to grant that. So this was the last effort to look at actual paper ballots from an election in Grand Junction, Colorado, and it's probably never going to happen this way again ever, because the Secretary of State doesn't want elections, or real elections, and certainly doesn't want audits into elections that are questionable. She's waged lawfare on Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters and any other county that dared to investigate their own local elections and try to see within the law what was going on in the black box machine. So as soon as Barb is back on with us, if somebody's kind of watching that would be great. Let me know when you see her back in here. For the moment, while we're waiting for her to get on here, I just want to stress and just thank all of you guys for being with us tonight. It's been a really weird night on Zoom, but we're back. I have no idea what happened. Everything's back and running, and it's like nothing ever happened. It's crazy. So thank you guys for being with us, and thank you for your patience tonight. And I know actually while we're waiting for that, you guys have a special event going on in La Plata. Dale, you want to talk about that for just a moment? The left is coming out as the banshees they are, declaring war on your special guest down there.
Yeah, we have the Indivisible Durango coming after us. And they are organizing, and they have went to our host, the VFW, where we have our monthly meeting, and have complained to them about our guests, which is Moms for Liberty. And Kelly has done a really good job getting them here. And I don't remember the lady's name, but we have invited them into the meeting to listen to Moms for Liberty. And we've also invited the sheriff and several other people. And I guess now they have, since they have realized we're onto them, they have decided they're not going to go inside the meeting and talk, that they're going to stand outside and protest. So I think that since we're calling their bluff a little bit, they may be backing off. But they are going to be there, and they are organizing a big protest. And according to Mike with the VFW, that they're going to be on the sidewalk with signs and telling us how we're racist, we're white fascists, and all different types of things. And, you know, we're going to try to think of ways where we can counter that if they just stay outside. We haven't got to that point, but if they're inside, hey, let's let them talk. I am the sergeant of arms. If they get out of hand, we'll just boot them, and we're not going to put up with their bullshit. But if they want to be respectful, then go ahead, tell us what you want to say. But we'll have 20 minutes or so of conversation and debate, and we'll ask them to leave when that's over.
Awesome, Dale. Thank you for that. Hope, I see you're with us tonight. New vice chair for the Colorado State GOP. Thank you for joining us tonight. Go ahead, please.
Secretary for La Plata.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. And yes, and I just wanted to add to that what Dale was just saying is not only are they protesting Moms for Liberty, they're also protesting the VFW as well. So, you know, that is a huge, huge thing. Both things are very huge, but when it comes down to them protesting, you know, against the VFW,
Did you hear that?
I am just angry as can be, as somebody who's a veteran.
This is a
And,
Hope, sorry, I just accidentally. Hey guys, if you don't mind keeping your line muted, it's just hard to hear. Hope, let me unmute you. Sorry about that. We want to hear what you're saying. Go ahead. Sorry about
yes,
that.
and just to talk about a state thing really quickly, we are going to be having the opt-out vote September 30th, and that is actually going to be trying to close our primaries. The opt-out meeting is going to be at the Rock Church in Castle Rock. And we're really excited to bring everybody together and get this vote done. There's some new things that have come out in regards to the opt-out. We're excited to be sharing the fact that, you know, we really want to make sure that each county, we heard exactly what the counties are saying to, you know, when we did the Amendment 7 and people voted in reference to that. What we did end up finding out is that people were really concerned financially where these were going to be held, how the counties were going to be able to finance them. As it sits right now with the opt-out itself, we are going to be able to, hopefully, if this passes, we are going to be making sure that no county is going to be responsible financially for anything. And so there's going to be some information coming out from Anna Ferguson, and we're really excited about that.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you guys are figuring out and finding ways to make sure people are educated on this. This is absolutely the direction to go back. And if you haven't noticed, all throughout the country, there are so many other states dealing with this, and hearing that you guys are moving forward, they're moving forward. Georgia, Arkansas, they're done. They're done letting Democrats determine their candidates in their elections. So this is really, really good what you guys are doing. I can't wait to see the results in this. Barb is with us, you guys. It's just, she's having a little bit of audio trouble. When you live in rural Colorado, sometimes it's a little bit challenging. So let's just kind of see what we can do here, because this is not a story that I can tell. This really is Barb's story. I mean, she followed the journey with Tina Peters. She was one of our biggest advocates and assets in the Boebert campaign throughout that corridor. I met her actually with one of our mutual friends who passed away last year. I was just thinking about her today. And Barb has done a lot that you don't even know about, taken on the Bureau of Land Management and won multiple times. So it really wasn't surprising that she would take on the city council of Grand Junction and get these ballots and be able to examine them and look at them in real time. As you guys can imagine, the ballots showed some very interesting things. There's two things I can talk about while we're waiting for her to get on here. The first is the ballots do not reflect what is on the thumb drives that are provided by the counties. Okay. They are not exact replicas. They don't have the date stamps or the time stamps showing you how many times they've been run through the black box machines. Okay. They are not exact replicas like is required by the law. We know that for certain now because they saw them. They took pictures. They have photographic evidence of it all. That's one of the biggest things right now that I can share with you before she gets back on. If, you know, we might just have to switch gears for a minute and come back to this because we do have a couple of great advocates in the Garfield County area who are going to shed light tonight on what's happening in the libraries as well as the public school district there. It's happening all over the country. Let's see if we can get Barb back on, but we're going to move on for just a moment and we'll come back as long as we can get her back on. Sorry, guys. Trisha Grady, let's turn it over to you. You've been working in schools, and actually you guys don't know this, but Trish is military, Air Force, and she was actually the tutor for my kids while we were there in Rifle. She came on Fridays. My kids could not wait to see Miss O'Grady. She was awesome with them. We love her and recommended her to other families who were wanting to homeschool but needed a little bit of extra support. And so, Trish, if you're on with us, I'm going to turn it over to you. Please be on with us. I don't see her. You guys, hey, some nights are amazing and some nights are like, what is going on? I'm going to share with you guys on her behalf then while she's getting on. Are you on? Here's what's going on in Garfield School District and what's happening in Garfield County in the library. Same thing that's happening all over the state of Colorado. Pornographic material for minors. Yes, it's pornography. Walmart has a whole section devoted to pornography for children now, and it's under the child books gay tab. In fact, they have over 1,000 options, and the public libraries are just trying to keep up with them. So what they've done in these small little communities is they have said, we're going to participate in the grooming of your children and you're not going to stop us. Now, what's so interesting is that the boards actually are selected. Library boards are selected by the communities. And so that means other people can be voted in. What Trish and another member in the community have done, and I'd love to hear from you guys what you're doing, how you're combating this, because this is happening all across the country. The American School Board Association is disgusting. They've decided to go woke. It's how they're getting their funding. People like the strikers like to fund them. But remember, Pat and John Stryker, they are from Colorado. Together, they've collaborated with over $50 million. I think it's closer to $100 million because they each gave 50 to inject the drag queen story times across the country. I pointed you guys to the drag queen story hours that it's actually a website where they're inviting people from all over the country to come and do drag queen story time. And they may not live in your area, but they will ship them over there to do your story time and to infect children there and traumatize them sexually and introduce them to things that are just bizarre. That's what they've been doing. It's what they've been up to in partnership with the public libraries. It's so sad because that was never the goal with the public library. So I want to hear what's happening with you guys. I think Trish is not here, so we're going to move right along. Anybody else have anything they want to add about what's happening in the libraries? This is a really big deal because the libraries, we go to the library, we always have, and we don't want to be shielding our children's eyes when we walk in from pornography. And I will tell you, we were actually just at the library today. And I looked at every single book because I don't know. And some of these librarians, they're not thinking about it from our perspective as parents. They're older or they're really young and they don't think about this stuff. They don't think there's anything wrong. I've seen young women that I respect with the memes that say they'll have a picture of a little pageant girl next to a picture of a drag queen guy saying, what's the difference? And I'm just like, if you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. So parents understand that we're trying to preserve the innocence of our kids. That's what we're doing by interjecting ourselves into the library meetings, into the school boards, into the commissioner meetings, anywhere where children are not being protected, we're interjecting ourselves. So anybody have any comments about that, about what's going on in the public library scene?
Oh, no, I have a comment, but not exactly on that.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I don't know if you guys have heard, but the Colorado Hispanic Republicans are putting on a party. It's going to be September 4th.
Wait a second. Hey, how are you? You snuck in here tonight.
Yeah, I did.
Hey, good to see you, Raymond.
Good to see you too. It's a long time.
It has.
Hope you can
Okay,
make it
please.
to our party.
Gosh, I would love to. All right, go ahead. Tell us what's going on.
So it's September 14th. We're going to have really good food, Mexican food. We're going to have Mexican music, dancing, fun. It's going to be like a Lincoln Day dinner, only fun. So we're trying to bring the Hispanic community and the Republican Party together because Hispanics are, by definition, conservative. They are very conservative people. So we want to bring these. There's 1.234 million Hispanics in Colorado. Do you think if we woke up the Hispanic community, we could change some elections?
I 100%.
That's what we're trying to do. So I posted a link in the chat right here. You guys can go on there. Anybody want to buy tickets? It is going to be an awesome night. You guys are it's going to be great. And the tickets are really cheap. They're only $40 a piece or $75 for a couple. I mean, how can you go out on a date night and get dinner for $75 for two people? You can't do it. So we made it affordable so everybody can come, and it's going to be a really good party. So I hope you guys can all make it.
Okay, helicopters are flying over my house. There is something crazy.
That is bizarre. Okay. Well, hang tight. Raymond, will you tell us the date one more time so everybody writes that down? Everyone who's watching, where are they going to go and actually have fun? And are we allowed to call it Mexican food still? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, of course. So it is, it's September 14th. It's going to be on a Thursday. And it's going to be at the Bella Sierra Event Center in Brighton. Now, we're going to have this every year. We're going to put on the same party every year, and it's going to be somewhere in Colorado, not the same location every year. We're going to have it all around Colorado at different locations so that we can bring all of Colorado.
I love it. Raymond, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that tonight. So, you guys, we have Barb on the line, and we're just going to use she's going to speak from my phone. There's a lot of wonky stuff going on. I never know what to make of this stuff. Sometimes it's just really bad luck. Sometimes just not the stars are aligning, but I think that this message is so important. We've tried for 2 weeks now. I think we give it, I think we do it. You guys ready? Barb, go ahead.
Okay, Sharona, where I left off is how the price went up exponentially when I asked for certified hard copies of each ballot. And Michael and Dale's Offense Fund, like I said, put up the money, and it wasn't over then. They accepted it. They called and let me know Debbie Kemp is going to the warehouse. She is bringing the ballots back to the city of Grand Junction. And I spoke with her. I emailed her. She said the ballots were at the city. I then said I wanted chain of custody and a video on those ballots at all times. It caused a stir. She went back to Mesa County, and they all of a sudden magically had this thumb drive, and I could then only have the digital thumb drive. I could no longer have hard copies of the ballots. I've been communicating with Erin Clements, David Clements' wife, and she let me know that she had a Dominion approved scanner that she could come over. We could have those ballots scanned in 4 hours with a team. So I let them know that I would put a team of 6 together. I had a Dominion approved scanner set up June 12th, and Mr. Shaver, the city attorney, wrote me an email and said that I could not do that. I could have the thumb drive, and that was it. So I'm pushing back. And when we talk about working with the counties, it's not going to be easy. It is pushback. All the time you've got to push back. I feel like the Lord has put me on this mission, and for whatever reason, and every Thursday turns into a mess. And here we go again, and I can't get on. But back to what is going on. And so he is, in my opinion, he is using recount statutes. I am using sunshine statutes. And sunshine statutes gives me the opportunity. They cannot take away the fact that I could view ballots. And so they finally gave in and said that I could view the ballots. So Erin Clements made up tally forms so that we could tally, and we decided to do 2 races. We did the McAllister Taggart race and the Heights Simpson race. We didn't tally any initiatives, just those 2 races. So it took us 20 hours plus another 8 hours to go through all of the ballots. We viewed every single one. We saw double timestamps. We saw batches that were deleted, and then other batches that had double numbers on them. So
What
that's my story.
from your understanding, and we don't have to elaborate on this too much, but why would there be double timestamps on these ballots?
So this is my opinion. We saw coffee spills. We saw soup spills. Those tabulators jam. And when those tabulators jam, they have to run those ballots again. And this is why I feel like it is the machine. Because who do they call? They call Dominion. And Dominion is walking them through this and that and the other. That is my opinion of why there is more than one timestamp. Also, now this is really huge. I spoke with Walter Doherty I spoke to Jeff during the process, and
Okay.
he told me things to watch for, batches to watch for. And those batches that he told me to watch for were, in fact, the batches that had anomalies. So I found that really interesting. So at the end of the 5th day, when I talked to Walter Doherty, he said to get the slog.txt file, and it would tell them if them running the ballots more than once, deleting batches was legitimate or not. And so I first called Amy Phillips, the city clerk, and she said, well, you'll have to Quora to get the slog file. So I Quora'd, and Debbie Kemp writes me back, and I feel like this is a huge deal right here. She said that the slog.txt file was overwritten through the trusted field. Well, that is breaking the law. It specifically said, stop. Sharona, did you say stop?
No. I said shocking. Yes. Go
Yeah.
ahead, please.
Yeah, but we have it in writing now. So this is the big thing. This is the big thing. All of this process that I have in writing, I have emails that support everything I'm saying. And the pushback. Why the pushback? But now we know that when they come in and do this trusted field, that it in fact erases data, it erases logs, and it is against the law. It is against not just our state law, but it is specifically written out in federal law that we get replicas. And so when I plugged in the thumb drive, we do not have replicas of the ballots. They are missing the time and date stamps on them. Now, I randomly went through some of those batches on the thumb drive, and all of a sudden one popped up with a time and date stamp on it. And I thought, well, that's odd. All of a sudden one is popping up with a time and date stamp, that I don't get the time and date stamp on every single one of them. I don't get the exact replica that the law says that we are supposed to have.
Yeah. Incredible. This is incredible. Mm-hmm.
So questions, prick my brain to things that I might be forgetting. This started in February. But Sharona, I started doing Quoras before I met you, before I met Tina. I was doing this in November, when I knew that 2020 was stolen.
And interestingly enough, the Republican chair, Kevin McCartney, who, was a great friend and an ally for us in securing our elections, he believed the same thing, that the 2020 election had been stolen and that Mesa County did not produce as many votes for Donald Trump as it should have been. He believed it was about 10,000 votes short. He brought those concerns to Clerk Peters at the time, and she was just not ready to embrace that idea. She felt they had done everything that they possibly could by the book over the elections, and it wasn't until this city council election. So yeah, you were ahead of the game, Barb, for sure.
Well, the thing too is I don't live in Mesa County. I live in Montrose County. I was hounding my clerk. I was hounding Mesa County clerk. I was desperate to find what was happening. And Steve House in Denver area is the one that told me to contact Tina. If anybody could fix this, it would be Tina. Well, I was friends with the commissioner, and so I contacted her and asked who Tina Peters was, and she says, well, she's our clerk. So I started communicating with her, and every time I learned something new, I watched Joe Altman to a T, because Steve House said, when I was bugging Steve, because he lost against Jason Crow in District 6.
Mhm.
I said, this isn't just about the presidential race. It is about down ballot too. And so every time I would, and he said, well, I need to talk to Joe Altman. Well, I didn't know who that was. And then all of a sudden I'm listening to interview on YouTube, and they're interviewing Joe Altman. So I started following Joe, learning everything I could learn. And coincidentally, Joe was interviewing Tina after the cyber symposium, and all hell broke loose on her. And he mentioned Remington's name, and I went, oh my word, I know Tina from way back when. My daughter babysat for her kids when they were little. But it never crossed my mind until that interview. Joe did a really good interview with Tina. I follow Joe Altman and David Clements to a T. That's where you're going to get your information. That's who I follow.
I would agree with Dr. Clements right now, Professor Clements right now. But Barb, I want to thank you so much for at least giving us this first introduction. We're waiting for the report to come back from Jeff O'Donnell and Walter Duarte on what's been found. And it's disappointing to hear that the slog file had been overwritten through the trusted builds.
Yeah, and we have it in writing.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
I thought nothing was deleted. I thought there was nothing of significance that happened. They were just updating the system.
Yeah, that's what my clerk in Montrose County. When you see the thing on the front page, that's what gets deleted.
Right. Right. But now
Yeah.
we have it in paper, in writing. This is what transpired. Now,
Yeah.
can you just repeat one more time why the slog file is important? What would it prove?
Well, Walter Dodery told, David Clements has talked about the slog. Him and Aaron had talked about the slog file, and I never understood what that was until going through this process. And Walter Dodery said, we need the slog file so that we can get the history of every ballot, and it will tell us if it has been run more than once, if it was counted more than once. And I went, oh my word, I understand the slog file now.
Okay.
And the importance of it. So does that help you understand?
I think so. Everybody else, Sheila's got a question. Barb, hang on just a sec. Sheila, go ahead. Oh, Sheila, you're muted. Hang on, you're muted, honey. Oh, there you go.
So when you finish counting all those ballots, Barb, what did you find out?
Barb, she asked, when you finished counting all the ballots, what did you find out from well, we've kind of discussed, we're not really talking numbers right now, but is there anything you want to say from after counting those ballots?
Well, just that it has all been turned over to the cyber experts now. So I'm not talking about what we found, because it is missing the slog file to explain why they would be run more than once. it would just be my opinion, and I don't think that that would be fair. So, it's with the cyber experts now.
Awesome.
Thank you, Barb.
Barb, everyone is saying thank you, and I just really appreciate you again. Thank you for being ahead of this and not giving up, and just being tenacious. I really appreciate you. I mean, this is incredible. It's what we've been trying to get for 2.5 years, and you managed to do it. So thank you so much.
Sharona, I do want to thank my team. Kevin, Wilson, Tamara, Stuckey, Jody Green, and myself. We were there every single day of the 5 days. And then I had Mark McAllister, Greg Heights was there one day. And then I had 2 subs. That was Elizabeth Blankenship and Charlie Osborne. And not Osborne. Anyway, Charlie. She's a
Charlie.
friend of mine, and I'm saying it wrong. Maybe I'm not, but anyway, stressful day, stressful trying to get on here, but I could not have done it. And then, of course, Brandon Llewellyn and Donnie that helped. They were our runners. And they took pictures. Now, we didn't take a picture of every single one. We took random pictures. So you can see the timestamp and the date stamp. And so when you plug in the thumb drive, the cyber experts will see that it does not have time and date stamps. It is not a true replica like the law says that we get.
Boy, this is going to be fascinating to see how they respond and what happens with this, because I know the majority of people are interested in truth. They want justice. They want things to be done correctly. And you've provided evidence that it's not, no matter what, it's not correct. It's not lawful, and serious, important information was deleted by the Secretary of State's team and Dominion. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what they did.
Well, and then we had on June 16th, we had the meeting. We could Zoom into it or we could go in person to the Secretary of State, Judd Cho, the one that helped write ERIC. He is the one that ran that meeting, and other people could call in and talk for four minutes or whatever. Tina calls in, they hold her to 3, and Judd Cho just knocked her off and wouldn't let her come back on. And other people were saying that they would give her their time, and he absolutely would not do it. So there is a lot. And Judge Cho, and I know this for a fact, was helping with the trusted build that trusted build, and they were doing it in 2019. And they ran a trusted build after the 2018 election. I know that for a fact. My clerk and recorder told me that. So it was built in 2019, ran after the 2018 election, and then we found out that it was how nefarious it was in 2021. And it was actually erasing logs.
These people are criminals. And you know what? They are criminals. They're going to be held accountable. And I find it amazing. We talked a little bit about the Secretary of State is posting on Twitter quite frequently, trying to rile people up and get people scared. But the real scary thing truly is participating in an election that is not a real election, and having people like we're experiencing right now ruling over us. So you've provided, yeah.
Here's one more thing. I did a Cora to get last year, a week after the fake recount of Tina's. Every year, the Colorado County Clerk Association, that's Matt Crane, they have a training for all of the clerks and recorders. Well, I got the agenda. They have sponsors. Dominion was a gold sponsor. Runback was a gold sponsor, and they had speakers. The very speakers from Arizona that we watch that are so crooked for Runback were at that training our clerk. That should be alarming. Dominion, the very names that we hear were at that training our clerks. Now get this, when all of those people in Mesa County were begging the commissioners not to sign the contract with Dominion, that afternoon on September 2nd, they went into executive session. So that's a private meeting with none other than John Pullis, the head of Dominion, the CEO or whatever you want to call him of Dominion.
That was the night, hang on a second. That was the night that they made the decision to enter into the contract with Dominion after hours and hours of testimony by the public. Previous to this was days, weeks of testimony.
2 o'clock in the afternoon, they went into a executive session, and none other than John Pullis and his VPs were in that meeting. Yes.
Cody Davis was in that meeting.
Who?
Was Cody Davis in that meeting? Was Scott McInnes in that meeting?
Yeah, all
Was
three commissioners.
Janet Rowland was in that meeting?
Yep. And it was that afternoon. You guys met on September 2nd that morning. That afternoon at 2 o'clock, they were in an executive session with John Pullis and his VP.
Incredible.
And we have it in writing.
These people, Cody Davis and Janet Rowland, you guys are going to be held accountable. You will be held accountable. It's just unbelievable. Your sins are being found out left and right. You're not going to be able to hide from it anymore. The steps moving forward are being talked about right now. People need to know that. But for now, Barb, any idea, any suggestions or what people should be doing with the information you've provided tonight?
Right. We keep fighting, I guess. That's my suggestion. We keep fighting. We keep uncovering. I asked my friend Kevin, why do we put ourselves in this position? And he sent me a scripture, Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And it's where Christ intercedes for us. He's our intercessor. And we listen to our heart. I can't tell you how many miracles have happened through this process. And I literally would not know what I know without my Savior and without his guidance. And it blows me away what he shows me. I think I get a nugget, have a nugget, and my friend Mike brings me the minutes for that executive session. And that's how we found out about the executive session, that it was taking place that afternoon and who was in. We have it in writing, and he found it. It just never ceases to amaze me what the Lord will provide for us if we listen to our hearts and take his direction and we stand for righteousness. And that's what I try to do.
Well, we appreciate you, Barb. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing this to us tonight and for this very hard fought battle in the middle of your normal life. You didn't even live in that town. It was a lot of travel. It was a lot of effort. It was a lot of work. I appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you, Barb.
Thank you, Sharona. It wouldn't have happened without your efforts as well.
I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up our. Thank you, Barb. I'm gonna go ahead and end the call. Okay. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our call this evening. It's a lot to digest. You're going to want to go back and re-listen to that testimony from Barb Hewlett of Delta County and her efforts in Grand Junction in the Mesa County, or in Mesa County in the Grand Junction City Council election, being able to see the ballots. One of the last elections on record in the state of Colorado that we will be able to actually physically see the paper ballots, because you're not allowed anymore to audit elections in the state of Colorado, thanks to Jenna Griswold. She doesn't believe the elections belong to you. She has centralized them to her office in Denver, and she believes that she holds the key to your vote. So that's something we're going to have to continue to fight and push back on. And the results of all of this, the story is far from over. It is far from over. And just a reminder of what's really on the line here. You've got a 67-year-old woman who's looking at prison time, Tina Peters, for doing her job. And one of the biggest fines, in addition to them not providing accurate information by the city of Grand Junction, is that the slog file, in fact, was erased, as Tina Peters said it was, in the quote trusted build. That's a significant file that proves what happened during the election. It's now in writing from the City Council of Grand Junction. So excellent, excellent find there. Any questions from anyone before we wrap up this evening? Any last thoughts? What a night, huh? All right, then. I think Barb let us out well. And I agree that we are going to have the Spirit of God to lead us and guide us, because these are tricky times right now. So thank you guys for being with us tonight on the Patriot Call, and we'll see you back here next Thursday. So much happening. Keep looking upwards. It will not always be this way. We're getting ready for the good stuff, guys. We'll see you soon.
And everybody.